Evil comes in many forms. The power-hungry ambition of the lich, the tyrannical megalomania of the beholder, the calamitous destruction of the demon. But perhaps no evil is as insidious and wicked as the evil that calls itself friend. Since the earliest days of D&D, devils have loomed large among the mightiest opponents an adventurer can face. Not only for their dangerous and violent nature, which is on par with that of any demon, dragon, or aberration, but for their unrivaled ability to prey on and exploit the most defenseless part of any person, be they mighty or meek. While a demon will attack you head-on, a white-hot rage of fiendish terror, a dragon might incinerate you in elemental fury, and a mind flayer will attempt to make you its thrall. A devil will be your friend, and like a friend, they will help you out of a jam. Desperate for a few coins to get by, the devil's got a few to spare. Need a warm body to fill your bed, or an ear to hear your woes? The devil can provide the very best companionship around. Want status, riches, property, magic, power? The devil has the answers. They will give you all you want and more. And what do they want in exchange? Just a little thing. A trifle, really. And it won't affect you in the slightest. All they want is your soul. You just have to sign your name on the dotted line in your own blood, and you'll be set for life. Because the truth is, they have everything you could ever need, and you absolutely have something they want. Perhaps you should make that deal. I am William Stark.
I am Omar Timsah.
And this is D&D Legends and Lore.
Imps, the devils of pettiness and suspicion. Known for their cowardice and toadying, imps serve devils and wicked magic users. Their abilities to shapeshift and pass unseen make them skillful spies and adept at fleeing danger. Imps are sent to survey other creatures and relate what they discover to their masters, but they frequently omit important details or cast events in the worst possible light to mislead their masters into following the imp's devilish counsel. Imps without masters delight in manipulating other creatures and inflating their own egos. They might take over bands of weaker monsters, or they might pose as helpful spirits and trick influential individuals into pursuing nefarious ends.
Many might assume that demon and devil are just different names for the same creature. Both are beings of pure evil, and both are enemies of virtue and morality. Furthermore, both creatures are keenly interested in the affairs of mortals, at least to the extent that they prey on, exploit, and kill mortals. But demons and devils differ in several key ways. Demons are destroyers. They use their abilities to ruin, smash, and end all things. Devils, on the other hand, are deceivers, liars, charlatans, and thieves, bent on luring mortals into damnation. A devil will use any trick at its disposal to manipulate a mortal into signing over their soul. Demons act on impulse. Even those that harbor long-term ambitions are easily distracted from them. Devils think, scheme, think again, and finally take action when circumstances reach a point of maximum favorability. Demons enthusiastically fight to the death. Devils, as much as they enjoy violence, view it in a more calculating manner. They withdraw from any confrontation in which the risk outweighs the reward. Demons battle the forces of good because they hate them. Devils fight good-aligned foes because where good is weak, souls are more easily harvested. Most devils view those of good alignment with amused contempt until they're thwarted, at which point they become petulant and vengeful. When corrupting mortals, devils appeal to reason by offering bargains laid out in detailed contracts. Demons simply exploit mortal urges and passions. Demons want to destroy mortal souls. Devils intend to own them. Devils personify tyranny with a totalitarian society dedicated to the domination of mortal life. They live to conquer, enslave, and oppress. They take perverse delight in exercising authority over the weak, and any creature that defies the authority of a devil faces swift and cruel punishment. Every interaction is an opportunity for a devil to display its power, and all devils have a keen understanding of how to use and abuse their power. Devils understand the failings that plague intelligent mortals, and they use that knowledge to lead mortals into temptation and darkness, turning creatures into slaves to their own corruption. Devils on the material plane use their influence to manipulate humanoid rulers, whispering evil thoughts, fomenting paranoia, and eventually driving them to tyrannical actions. The psychology of devils can be summed up in a single word: ambition. In accordance with their lawful alignment, devils obey even when they envy or dislike their superiors, knowing that their obedience will be rewarded. Almost every devil constantly wonders how it can win advancement. Devils believe in rules and order not because these forces are good for society, but because they believe that they personally stand to benefit from them. Each devil hopes to reach a position in which it can remake the rules to suit its own goals. Followers of other lawful alignments might see them as hypocrites, but to devils this attitude is perfectly consistent and logical. The hierarchy of the 9 hells depends on this unswerving loyalty, without which that fiendish plane would become as anarchic as the abyss itself. At the same time, it is in the nature of devils to scheme, creating in some a desire to rule that eclipses their contentment to be ruled. This singular ambition is strongest among the archdevils whom Asmodeus appoint to rule the 9 layers of the 9 hells. These high-ranking fiends are the only devils to ever sample true power, which they crave like the sweetest ambrosia. Devils are confined to the lower planes, but they can travel beyond those planes by ways of portals or powerful summoning magic. They love to strike bargains with mortals seeking to gain some benefit or prize, but a mortal making such a bargain must be wary. Devils are crafty negotiators and positively ruthless at enforcing the terms of an agreement. Moreover, a contract with even the lowliest devil is enforced by Asmodeus' will. Any mortal creature that breaks such a contract instantly forfeits their soul, which is spirited away to the 9 hells. To own a creature's soul is to have absolute control over that creature, and most devils accept no other currency in exchange for the fiendish power and boons they can provide. A soul is usually forfeited when a mortal dies naturally, for devils are immortal and can wait years for a contract to play out. If a contract allows a devil to claim a mortal soul before death, it can instantly return to the 9 hells with the soul in its possession. Only divine intervention can release a soul after a devil has claimed it.
Spined devils. Devils of intrusion and suspicion. Spined devils, also known as spinagons, lurk in the shadows of the lower planes, seeking secrets for their infernal lords. They prefer to attack from the air, flinging wicked barbs while staying out of reach of foes. Spined devils collect information to gain leverage over mortals, or to entice powerful devils.
It is said that, originally, devils were servants of the gods that rebelled and were cast out of their domains. Their once luminous angelic forms twisted and corrupted by their exile from the domains of the gods they once attended. The details of their rebellion is debated. One tale speaks of the angelic forces rallying behind their leader, Asmodeus, and slaying one of their divine masters. As a result, they were cursed and cast out into the devastated remains of that god's domain, which became the 9 hells. Another tells of the angels being forged as a means to fight the infinite hordes of the demons of the abyss. Their long-term exposure to constant violence and the demons' corrupting nature transformed them into beings of a similar evil and hideous nature, but with their lawful side left intact. The twisting of their nature led Asmodeus and his ilk to trick the gods into a pact known as the Pact Primeval, which gave the devils the diabolical right to claim lawful evil souls, punish them, and ultimately convert them to divine energy. This agreement and the trickery involved in its signing was the cause of the banishment of all devil kind to the lower planes. Whatever the truth may be, it is through the transference of mortal souls that the devils of the 9 hells continue to bulwark their numbers.
Bearded devils, devils of force and intimidation. Bearded devils, also known as Barbazes, fill the legions of the Nine Hells. These cruel soldiers follow the orders of diabolical generals as they defend infernal realms, invade material plane worlds, and clash against demons in plane-spanning conflicts. Left to their own devices, bearded devils encourage mortals to act callously and abuse their power, inflating their egos and inspiring petty tyrannies. Villains aligned with the Nine Hells call on bearded devils to serve as guardians, enforce their will, or fight in wicked armies. Bearded devils' eponymous beards consist of grotesque, tentacle-like growths. These squirming, barb-riddled beards carry poison capable of preventing magical healing. Bearded devils are also known for their distinctive glaives, through which they channel hellish energy. Those struck by these unnatural weapons suffer infernal wounds that grow worse until staunched or magically healed.
Like other creatures of the outer planes, devils are abstractions given a semblance of fleshy existence. Though they might appear to be biological creatures composed of flesh, bones, blood, and viscera, they are in fact spiritual expressions of particular universal concepts. Internally, some devils bear basic similarities to humanoid anatomy, but others are completely bizarre. Because of their unusual physiology, devils can blithely ignore most of the biological needs that drive the humanoids and animals of the material plane. Devils derive their sustenance from the ambient energy of tormented souls, which suffuses all of the Nine Hells. Thus, they do not need to eat or drink to survive. However, certain devil forms remain capable of enjoying the taste of fine food or drink as a sensual pleasure, entirely detached from nutrition. The same holds true for devils prone to devouring their organic or demonic foes, although this act is more a celebration of power than an exercise of fine dining. The spawn of Asmodeus do not usually reproduce sexually. Most are created by the magical transformation of processed soul shells, then graduated, or reduced, from one form to another. But even though they have no need to reproduce, some devils receive pleasure from engaging in sexual behavior. The more human-like the devil, the more likely it is to feel sexual desire, often accompanied by a twisted, selfish need for love and affection. Arenes, chain devils, Amnizu, and harvester devils are notoriously prone to such temptations. Likewise, sexual intrigue provides a motivation for many of the grudges and alliances behind the archducal politics. Like intoxication, sexual behavior with its destabilizing and even chaotic potential is reserved as a privilege of the mighty. Unique devils are capable of sexual reproduction among their own kind and with mortal creatures. A creature born of two unique devils is itself a unique devil. Many a tiefling can trace their ancestry back to an ancient union between a devil and a mortal. Although dukes and archdukes can reproduce, they do so only rarely. In the cutthroat politics of Beator, a child born to a diabolical couple is a tenuous ally at best, and an active enemy or useful pawn of its parents' foes at worst. Devils do not die of old age. Most are ageless. In fact, some can trace their origins to a mythic past before time was measured as it is now. Regardless of when they were created, most devils display no outward signs of aging. However, some especially tough and wrinkly specimens appear visibly decrepit, usually due to a curse, supernatural ailment, or general depletion of divine energy. A devil slain outside Beator devolves into a puddle of foamy, stinking ooze over a period of 3 to 9 minutes. Whether or not its residue is disturbed, a slain devil returns to Beator. This method of transportation leaves behind any physical possessions a devil might have carried, including magic items and treasure, even if they originated in the Nine Hells. Depending on the nature of its defeat, a devil might experience no repercussions, or it might face demotion for failure. Lowly devils are the likeliest to suffer demotion. Devils that die in the Nine Hells, on the other hand, are destroyed forever, a fate that each one fears.
Chain devils, devils of pain and control. Also known as chitons, chain devils consider themselves morbid artisans who use deception, menace, and vicious metal to coerce prisoners into betraying themselves. Many serve powerful devils, wrenching secrets from imprisoned souls using deadly, animate chains. Left to their own devices, chain devils encourage ruthless individuals to pursue forbidden magic, leading their pupils down paths to the nine hells. Along with psychological threats and physical harm, a chain devil uses its unnerving gaze to make victims perceive their worst fear rather than the monster.
The Nine Hells has a rigid hierarchy that defines every aspect of its society. Asmodeus is the supreme ruler of all devils, and the only creature in the Nine Hells with the powers of God. Worshipped as such in the material plane, Asmodeus inspires the evil humanoid cults that take his name. In the Nine Hells, he commands scores of pit fiend generals, which in turn command legions of subordinates. A supreme tyrant, a brilliant deceiver, and a master of subtlety, Asmodeus protects his throne by keeping his friends close and his enemies closer. He delegates most matters of rulership to the pit fiends and lesser archdevils that make up the infernal bureaucracy of the Nine Hells, even as he knows that those powerful devils conspire to usurp the throne of Beator from which he rules. Asmodeus appoints archdevils, and he can strip any member of the infernal hierarchy of rank and status as he likes. The archdevils include all of the current and deposed rulers of the Nine Hells, as well as the dukes and duchesses that make up their courts, attend them as advisors, and hope to supplant them. Every archdevil is a unique being with an appearance that reflects its particular evil nature. The greater devils include the pit fiends, Arenes, horn devils, and ice devils that command lesser devils and attend the archdevils. The lesser devils include numerous strains of fiends, including imps, chain devils, spine devils, bearded devils, barbed devils, and bone devils. The lowest form of devil, lemurs, are the twisted and tormented souls of evil and corrupted mortals. When the soul of an evil mortal sinks into the Nine Hells, it takes on the physical form of a wretched lemur. Archdevils and greater devils have the power to promote lemurs to lesser devils. Archdevils can promote lesser devils to greater devils, and Asmodeus alone can promote a greater devil to archdevil status. This diabolical promotion invokes a brief, painful transformation, with the devil's memories passing intact from one form to the next. Low-level promotions are typically based on need, such as when a pit fiend transforms lemurs into imps to gain invisible spies under its command. High-level promotions are almost always based on merit, such as when a bone devil that distinguishes itself in battle is transformed into a horn devil by the archdevil it serves. A devil is seldom promoted more than one step at a time in the hierarchy of infernal forms. Demotion is the customary punishment for failure or disobedience among the devils. Archdevils or greater devils can demote a lesser devil to a lemur, which loses all memory of its prior existence. An archdevil can demote a greater devil to lesser devil status, but the demoted devil retains its memories and might seek vengeance if the severity of the demotion is excessive. No devil can promote or demote another devil that has not sworn fealty to it, preventing rival archdevils from demoting each other's most powerful servants. Since all devils swear fealty to Asmodeus, he can freely demote any other devil, transforming it into whatever infernal form he desires.
Barbed Devils, devils of greed and obsession. Infernal collectors, barbed devils fanatically protect troves of treasure and scour the planes of existence for additions to their hoards. Also known as Hamatulus among the ranks of the Nine Hells, these devils bedeck their barbed hides with their most prized possessions and trophies taken from those who failed to steal from them. When threatened, barbed devils strike with their thorny limbs and hurl infernal flame. Barbed devils often serve as guards and accountants for ice devil generals, pit fiend warlords, archdevils, and similarly powerful villains. In return, barbed devils gain protection for their own collections. Many barbed devils also maintain networks of imps that search the plains for treasures of interest, or usefully greedy mortals. Barbed devils rarely collect anything as prosaic as coins and gems. Rather, they pride themselves on having the multiverse's greatest collection of one kind of thing, typically items of rare pedigree or emblems of power. Barbed devils refuse to steal what they covet. Instead, they strike bargains to claim both treasure and mortal souls.
The 9 hells of Beator inflame the imaginations of travelers, the greed of treasure seekers, and the battle fury of all mortal creatures. They are a single plane comprising 9 separate layers. The first 8 layers are each ruled by archdevils that answer to the greatest archdevil of all, Asmodeus, the Archduke of Nessus, the 9th layer. To reach the deepest layer of the 9 hells, one must descend through all 8 of the layers above it in order. The most expeditious means of doing so is the river Styx, which plunges ever deeper as it flows from one layer to the next. Only the most courageous adventurers can withstand the torment and horror of that journey. Arenes, the first layer of the 9 hells. No planar portals connect directly to the lower layers of the 9 hells by Asmodeus' order. As such, the first layer of Arenes is the arrival point for visitors to the plane. Arenes is a rocky wasteland with rivers of blood and clouds of biting flies. Fiery comets occasionally fall from the darkened sky and leave fuming impact craters behind. Empty battlefields are littered with weapons and bones, showing where the legions of 9 hells met enemies on their native soil and prevailed. The Archduchess Zariel rules Arenes, supplanting her rival Bel, who has fallen out of Asmodeus' favor and is forced to serve as Zariel's advisor. Tiamat, the Queen of Evil Dragons, is a prisoner on this layer, ruling her own domain but confined to the 9 hells by Asmodeus in accordance with some ancient contract, the terms of which are known only to Tiamat and the Lord of the 9 hells. Zariel's seat of power is a soaring basalt citadel festooned with the partially incinerated corpses of guests who failed to earn the Archduchess's favor. Zariel appears as an angel whose once beautiful skin and wings have been ruined by fire. Her eyes burn with a furious white light that can cause creatures looking upon her to burst into flame. Dis, the second layer of the 9 hells, is a labyrinth of canyons wedged between sheer mountains rich with iron ore. Iron roads span and wend through the canyons, watched over by the garrisons of iron fortresses perched atop jagged pinnacles. The second layer takes its name from its current lord, Despater, a manipulator and deceiver. The Archduke is devilishly handsome, bearing only small horns, a tail, and a cloven left hoof to distinguish him from a human. His crimson throne stands in the heart of the Iron City of Dis, a hideous metropolis that is the largest in the 9 hells. Planar travelers come here to conspire with devils and to close deals with night hags, rakshasas, incubi, succubi, and other fiends. Despater collects a piece of every deal through special provisions that are added to contracts signed on his layer of the 9 hells. Despater is one of Asmodeus' most loyal and resourceful vassals, and few beings in the multiverse can outwit him. He is more obsessed than most devils with striking deals with mortals in exchange for souls, and his emissaries work tirelessly to foster evil schemes in the material plane. Mineros, the third layer of the 9 hells, is a stench-ridden bog. Acidic rain spills from the layer's brown skies, thick layers of scum cover its putrid surface, and yawning pits lie in wait beneath the murk to engulf careless wanderers. Cyclopean cities of ornately carved stone rise up from the bog, including the great city of Mineros, for which the layer is named. The slimy walls of the city rise hundreds of feet into the air, protecting the flooded halls of Mammon. The Archduke of Mineros resembles a massive serpent, with the upper torso and head of a hairless, horned humanoid. Mammon's greed is legendary, and he is one of the few archdevils who will trade favors for gold instead of souls. His lair is piled high with treasures left behind by those who tried and failed to best him in a deal. Flegthos, the fourth layer, is a fiery landscape whose seas of molten magma brew hurricanes of hot wind, choking smoke, and pyroclastic ash. Within the fire-filled caldera, Flegthos' largest volcano rises Ambermock, a fortress city cast of obsidian and dark glass. With rivers of molten lava pouring down its outer walls, the city resembles the sculpted centerpiece of a gigantic hellish fountain. Ambermock is the seat of power for the 2 archdevils that rule Flegthos in tandem, Archduke Belial and Archduchess Fierna, Belial's daughter. Belial is a handsome, powerfully built devil who exudes civility, even as his words carry an undercurrent of threat. His daughter is a statuesque devil whose beauty encases the blackest heart in the 9 hells. The alliance of Belial and Fiorna is unbreakable, for both are aware that their mutual survival hinges on it. Stygia, the fifth layer of the Nine Hells, is a freezing realm of ice within which cold flames burn. A frozen sea surrounds the layer, and its gloomy sky crackles with lightning. Archduke Levistus once betrayed Asmodeus, and is now encased deep in the ice of Stygia as a punishment. He rules this layer all the same, communicating telepathically with his followers and servants, both in the Nine Hells and on the material plane. Stygia is also home to its previous ruler, the serpentine archdevil Geryon, who was dismissed by Asmodeus to allow the imprisoned Levistus to regain his rule. Geryon's fall from grace has spurred much debate within the infernal courts. No one is certain whether Asmodeus had some secret cause to dismiss the archdevil, or whether he is testing Geryon's allegiance for some greater purpose. Malbolge, the sixth layer, has outlasted many rulers, among them Malagard the Hag Countess and the archdevil Moloch. Malagard fell out of favor and was struck down by Asmodeus in a fit of pique, while her predecessor, Moloch, still lingers somewhere on the sixth layer as an imp, plotting to regain Asmodeus' favor. Malbolge is a seemingly endless slope, like the side of an impossibly huge mountain. Parts of the layer break off from time to time, creating deadly and deafening avalanches of the stone. The inhabitants of Malbolge live in crumbling fortresses and great caves carved into the mountainside. Malbolge's current archduchess is Asmodeus' own daughter, Glasia. She resembles a succubus with her small horns, leathery wings, and forked tail. She inherited her cruelty and love of dark schemes from her father. The citadel that serves as her domicile on the slopes of Malbolge is supported by cracked pillars and buttresses that are sturdy yet seem on the verge of collapse. Beneath the palace is a labyrinth lined with cells and torture chambers, where Glasia confines and torments those who displease her. Maladomini, the seventh layer, is a ruin-covered wasteland. Dead cities form a desolate urban landscape, and between them lie empty quarries, crumbling roads, slag heaps, the hollow shells of empty fortresses, and swarms of hungry flies. The Archduke of Maladomini is Beelzebul, the Lord of Flies. A bloated fiend with the lower body of an enormous slug, Beelzebul's form was inflicted upon him by Asmodeus as punishment for wavering loyalty. Beelzebul is a miserable and degenerate monstrosity who has long conspired to usurp Asmodeus, yet has failed at every turn. He carries a curse that causes any deal made with him to lead to calamity. Asmodeus occasionally shows Beelzebul favor for reasons no other archduke can fathom, though some suspect that the Archduke of Nessus still respects the worthiness of this fallen adversary. Cania, the eighth layer of the Nine Hells, is an icy hellscape whose ice storms can tear flesh from bone. Cities embedded in the ice provide shelter for guests and prisoners of Cania's ruler, the brilliant and conniving archdevil Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles dwells in the ice citadel of Mephistar, where he plots to seize the throne of Beator and conquer the plains. He is Asmodeus' greatest enemy and ally, and the Archduke of Nessus appears to trust Mephistopheles' counsel when it is offered. Mephistopheles knows he can't depose Asmodeus until his adversary makes a grave miscalculation, and so both wait to see what circumstances might turn them against each other. Mephistopheles is also a godfather of sorts to Glasia, further complicating the relationship. Mephistopheles is a tall, striking devil with impressive horns and a cool demeanor. He trades in souls, as do other archdevils, but he rarely gives his time to any creatures not worth his personal attention. His instincts are as razor-sharp as Cania's frigid winds, and it is said that only Asmodeus has ever deceived or thwarted him. Nessus, the lowest layer of the Nine Hells, is a realm of dark pits whose walls are set with fortresses. There, pit fiend generals loyal to Asmodeus garrison their diabolical legions and plot the conquest of the multiverse. At the center of the layer stands a vast rift of unknown depth, out of which rises the great citadel spire of Malshim, home to Asmodeus and his infernal court. Malshim resembles a gigantic, hollowed-out stalagmite. The citadel is also a prison for souls that Asmodeus has locked away for safekeeping. Convincing him to release even one of those souls comes at a steep price, and it is rumored that the Archduke of Nessus has claimed whole kingdoms in the past for such favors. Asmodeus most often appears as a handsome, bearded humanoid with small horns protruding from his forehead, piercing red eyes, and flowing robes. He can also assume other forms, and is seldom seen without his ruby-tipped scepter in his hand. Asmodeus is the most cunning and well-mannered of archdevils. The ultimate evil he represents can be seen only when he wills it so, or if he forgets himself and flies into a rage.
Bone Devils, devils of dread and obedience. Bone Devils are gaunt, nightmarish fiends with pallid skin stretched tight over frames that combine human and insectile features. Also known as Oceloths, these fiends command weaker devils and other beings aligned with infernal legions. Bone Devils ensure that the command of hellish sovereigns are exacted efficiently, and that non-devils fulfill their commitments to the Nine Hells. They slay those who renege on infernal deals, sending treacherous mortal souls to face unspeakable punishments. When not serving their diabolical masters, Bone Devils tempt self-obsessed mortals with promises of other creatures' adulation and obedience. These devils prop up petty tyrants, helping them grow increasingly calloused and amoral. Bone Devils travel across the multiverse to fulfill diabolical orders. If left with no other choice, they might conscript mortals to aid them in their vicious goals.
When a mortal dies, their soul transmigrates to an afterlife determined by its alignment. The Nine Hells are reserved for lawful evil beings and others in the service of devils. Thus, when one such soul passes, it travels to the Nine Hells, where it materializes on one of a series of cold, blood-soaked rocks protruding from the river Styx. This entry point for damned souls, known as the Shelves of Despond, is located on Avernus, the blood-drenched first layer of hell. In the parlance of the Outer Planes, the souls of the recently departed are sometimes called petitioners. But because they form the basis of Beator's diabolical economy, they generally are referred to in the Nine Hells as coin, treasure, or clank. Traffic in souls underpins the entire hierarchy through which all devils yearn to advance. Every devil is either a bestower or a recipient of magic extracted from the damned. Thus, the constant need to harvest new souls motivates nearly every action undertaken by devil kind, especially on the material plane. Most lawful evil souls have been assessed as the property of a particular Lord of Hell even before their arrival in Beator. Such previously optioned souls once belonged to mortals who were corrupted by the active influence of devils operating on their home planes. Some sold their souls to devils through Faustian pacts, others took the sinister advice of imps, and still others belonged to diabolical cults. Quite a number merely adopted the lawful evil alignment in societies molded by devil kind. When new souls arrive on the Shelves of Despond, several Barbazu, also known as bearded devils, pull treacherous-looking but well-sealed boats out onto the Styx's turbid waters. Upon reaching the rocky, blood-soaked islands, they scrabble across the rocks, sniffing the wretched arrivals to find out which lords they belong to. The soul collectors then haul the damned souls ashore and pile them into caged carts for transport to the layers of Beator ruled by their lawful owners. Souls destined for the layers of Stygia and Nessus, through which the Styx also runs, are instead moved to barges for river transport. Though this cargo is occasionally hijacked or diverted, most souls quickly reach their intended destinations.
Ice Devils, devils of antipathy and intellectual arrogance. Heartless strategists of the Nine Hells, Ice Devils, also known as Geligons, forsake emotion to indulge in their own malicious interpretations of logic. For them, the multiverse is a puzzle that must be solved to benefit them, their masters, and the Nine Hells. Ice Devils act maliciously, disguising their whims as reason and strategy. In the service of evil masters, these insectile devils patiently plot the movements of infernal armies and scheme ways to fulfill wicked goals. They might also serve as guardians, owing to their martial prowess and ability to reshape battlefields with walls of ice. When indulging their own schemes, ice devils tempt mortals to forsake empathy and social connections to embrace selfish, destructive visions of intellectualism. After isolating victims, these devils drain them of their secrets or send them forth to spread fractious dogmas cloaked as reason.
Lesser devils covet no mission more fervently than traveling to the material plane to corrupt mortal souls. First and foremost, such a mission offers the swiftest path to promotion. As an added bonus, devils assigned to soul harvesting duty often operate virtually independently, far from the ever-watchful eyes of their bullying superiors back on Beator. Devils are rewarded for causing mortals to shift to lawful evil alignment. Credit for a particular mortal's corruption goes to the devils most responsible for the actions finalizing that shift. However, they only earn credit and thus a greater chance for advancement when the subject dies and is conveyed to a torture chamber for processing. Thus, a devil can gain credit for a mortal it tempted long ago while in a previous form. As if this delay in receiving credit were not incentive enough, devils have an even more compelling reason to bring about their victims' deaths as soon as possible after conversion, namely, the dread possibility of subsequent atonement. Nothing frustrates a devil more than a soul that refuses to stay damned. Even so, powerful lawful evil mortals are often more valuable to devil kind as living beings operating on the material plane. While alive, they can bring about the damnations of hosts of other souls or pursue other goals of hellish hierarchy. Devils take special delight in corrupting the souls of their enemies, and Faustian pacts have proven to be among the most effective ways to lure mortals astray. Such a contract, negotiated between a devil and a mortal of any alignment other than lawful evil, exchanges the mortal's soul for any number of possible benefits. Over the centuries, many adventurers have proven themselves susceptible to the temptations inherent in Faustian pacts, because those pacts promise the sort of powers and abilities that adventurers covet. Though benefits of extraordinary value can be offered in a Faustian pact, the devil preparing it always tries to achieve a deal with the minimum possible expenditure of resources. Once the soul is securely damned, the negotiator often arranges, usually through servitors, to bring about the signatory's untimely death. Not only does this tactic negate any continuing expenses required by the contract, it also ensures that the mortal doesn't wriggle out of the arrangement by atoning their way back to their original alignment.
Arenes, devils of vengeance and righteous wrath. Arenes, also known as Furies, are winged devils clad in fiendish armor. These fallen angels exact a merciless form of divine justice, hunting down oath-breakers and dragging the rightfully damned to the 9 hells in the grip of their magical ropes. Few ever glimpse what lies within these devils' armored exteriors, and Arenes ensure that those who do can never speak of what they've seen. Arenes often serve archdevils and guard the order of the 9 hells against trespassers and escapees. Although they're prone to wrathful outbursts, Arenes cooperate well with other devils. They sometimes hunt in trios with other Arenes, forging infamous reputations for themselves. When not in the service of a diabolical master, Arenes hunt wicked souls. They pursue quarries relentlessly across the multiverse and for ages if need be. While they might be summoned to serve evil magic users, Arenes also listen for oaths and curses sworn in their names. In rare cases, wronged mortals who call out with just rage might be heard by an Arenes who appears to take vengeance on their behalf. Once Arenes are so summoned, they won't leave without claiming the soul of either their quarry or the mortal who summoned them.
Another primary activity in Beator, besides the harvesting of souls, is fighting the eternal blood war against the demonic horde, which is collectively called the Tanari. Each layer of the 9 hells boasts its own army, large portions of which are deployed permanently to Arenes, Beator's blood-soaked first layer, where the bulk of the blood war battles in devilish territory are fought. Devils that engage in the blood war participate in soul harvesting only as the recipients of divine energy, which is granted to them by their superiors. Devils engaged in either activity take great pleasure in sneering at those occupied with the other. Soul harvesters claim that without them, the blood war combatants would wither and die. Their martial colleagues respond that without them, demons would lay waste to all of the 9 hells, bringing about an even swifter demise. The diabolical forces in the Blood War are headed by Zariel, Archduchess of Arenes. Demonic invasions into Beator have never gotten further than this layer, primarily because powerful magic inherent in the plane prevents demons from teleporting to any layer lower than the one they currently control. So, to invade the 9 hells, the Tanari would first have to occupy and reconsecrate the entirety of Arenes, then do the same to Dis, and so forth. To date, they have never occupied territory on Arenes for more than a day, thanks to the exceptional martial prowess of Devil military might. The demons enjoy one major advantage in the Blood War: vastly superior numbers. Fortunately for the Devils, demons are undisciplined fighters and almost absurdly poor strategists. Devils hold their own through superior tactics, unbending morale, and the better equipment. Their mastery of military science is second to none, as is their dedication to subterfuge. Still, the Devils win only about half of their engagements. Brilliance and pluck doesn't count for too much when their forces are outnumbered 20-1.
When they say the Devils are bound to the rule of law, they do not mean laws like those of mortals, lean and uninspired. How could a creature destined to be bound by its agreements, its promises, the power of its very words, how could such a creature not, in the long millennia of its life, create laws of a sort that wind themselves around the realities, the expectations of mere mortals, twisting these prisons into freedoms?
This has been D&D Legends and Lore. Thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And please consider leaving us an Apple Podcast review, as it helps tremendously with discoverability. If you're interested in supporting us and helping us keep the lights on here at D&D Legends and Lore, please also consider checking out our Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Thank you again to our video editor, Sean Alexander. And with that being said, thank you again for watching, and happy adventuring.